We've been screwed. Screwed big time. Welcome to Forest Fan TV. Good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever in the world you are, whatever time of day you're watching this. Hope you're having a fantastic day, and welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest news. In today's episode, we'll be talking to you about how Forest have been the most screwed team in the Premier League. We'll give you an update on Lewis O'Brien and what's happening there. But this VAR screw job it's like a Canadian screw job, Bret the Hitman Hart style. I mean, what the actual hell is going on with the Premier League? Before we get into that, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and don't forget the latest episode of Grumpy Old Reds is now out and live on Spotify, on Apple, and on Google, and all your favorite players. So make sure you hit that link tree and go and listen to the latest episode where we talk about Chris Wood. We talk about the Man City game, and we talk about the defending, to say the least, and of course a lot of arguing in between all that. Let's jump into the news and let's talk about this VAR screw job. Okay, so 442 have released a table of where everyone would be if VAR wasn't is bribed too strong a word? Used correctly, maybe the more politically correct word? I don't know. All I know is that Forest have been the biggest sufferers of this. Now, you can see 100 million different tables on the internet, but most of these tables just show you how many VAR decisions have gone for you and how many have gone against you, and then they give you a net. So say, for example, there was 10 VAR decisions against, I don't know, Brighton or something. 5 went for them and 5 went against them. You end up with a net 0. But what it doesn't tell you, it adds things in there like stuff that was just given offside, you know, or stuff where something was reviewed and then turned over on a yellow card, on a red card incident or something like that. With the 442 table, what it's done is actually put those decisions into points and updated the table to show you exactly where everyone would lie. And I've got the table up for you here. As you can see, if you look at the bracket there with the actual position and the changes, Nottingham Forest should currently be sitting 10th in the league based on all the Canadian screwjob decisions. 4 places up from where we are now. Now, of course, the usual beneficiaries are there. Manchester United would be on like 2 or 3 points less. Liverpool have gained like 5 or 6 points from VAR decisions. And Nottingham Forest have been screwed. We should be on 27 points instead of 24. And with all the other calculations down the pyramid, then that tells you that Forest would be 10th. And it just goes to show the whole debate of VAR is not finished. VAR, although I'm not against it, I mean, thank you in the final last year. Although I'm not against it, it still has a lot to be desired. And it's weird still how even under VAR, which is meant to be impartial, that the decisions are favouring the VAR clubs, the Manchester Uniteds and the Liverpools of this world. And Liverpool are not exactly having a scintillating season this year. But is this VAR stuff going to be enough to, could this potentially screw us in the long term when all the games are played, when all the points are counted? Is this going to screw us? Arsenal have a good argument for, potentially losing the title. They should be way ahead of Man City based on VAR decisions not going against them. And it just makes you wonder how neutral are these things that are happening in VAR. Howard Redweb, may I add, has called for a meeting. I mean, the fact that he's in charge of all of this crap and everyone knows he's got a Manchester United top under his ref top, even in his reffing days, really does make you worry. But I really want to know what you think about VAR. Has VAR helped or hindered the game as we stand right now? Why can't they implement stuff in like we saw in the World Cup? Now, my understanding is that might be coming in next year, where you get those virtual images and the full line computerized across the virtual players. But at the moment, you're relying on Howard Redweb and his team to put lines up, and we've even seen incidents where lines have been forgotten. We have even had an apology over this picture. That's why I've used the thumbnail one, where Hendo was alleged to have fouled the Brighton attacker and given them a penalty. You know, and I remember that game. I was there at that game. Dennis should have had at least one penalty. It was just some of the worst, most biased VAR decisions I've ever seen. And in turn, that has cost Forest 4 places in the Premier League, and we should be in the top half of the league. What the hell do you guys think about all that? Let me know down in the comments below. Let's move forward and talk about Lewis O'Brien and the calamity that was his transfer move to Blackburn in the January window. At the moment, this is still in limbo, and poor Lewis is basically homeless at the moment. Well, metaphorically speaking. So what's going on currently? Well, the appeal from Blackburn still hasn't been finalised. It hasn't been reviewed and is still ongoing. But he does have a potential outlet option into the MLS. Clubs like Toronto are apparently interested in bringing him in. Their window is open until late to mid-April. So there's plenty of time for that to happen. And the talks is that if this Blackburn appeal doesn't go through, then he may end up at loan at one of the MLS clubs. Now, I'm not going to get into how much I detest this move, how much I feel that he still has a place in Nottingham Forest, and what a great player he was at the start of the season. Well, I kind of just did. But I'm not going any further than that. At this moment in time, Forest really need to be doing everything they can to make sure that they find him a home, because it's not his fault what's happened in terms of, you know, the logistics of the moves falling through. And Cooper has come out and said that we will look after our own and we'll make sure, you know, things are done where we can, etc. And in fact, Cooper said it was no fault of Nottingham Forest that the deal fell through. But he is a player that is ours, and we do need to make sure that something is done correctly for him. At the end of the day, there's a potential that he could be a Forest player again in the new season. And we don't want a player who's done nothing for 6 months. So if push comes to shove, I'll be okay through gritted teeth with him going to the MLS. At least he's getting some form of football there rather than absolutely nothing. But would you guys rather he rotted in, you know, training with the youths and everything? Or would you rather see him go out on loan to the MLS? I personally would rather the Blackburn deal appeal gets overturned and he's allowed to go there, as I think the Championship is a bit more competitive than, you know, the Ted Lasso League. So let's see what happens there. As always, we will keep you posted on that one. Okay, let's give you a quick injury update on a couple of players. We'll start with Awoniyi, who is apparently getting closer and closer to fitness. He's released some hinting videos on his Instagram showing him back at the training centre. There are some rumours, and I was winding Ant up with it last night on the podcast, talking about Awoniyi being 50-50 for the game against, who we got next? Man City, how can I forget? And then most likely to be back for West Ham. I'm not sure how true or not these are. These are just the rumours circulating. But what is clear to see is that he is getting closer and closer. We were told initially that he would be back the next week after his injury. And then, as always, the medical staff got their hands on him. And then the rumours were he's out for 2 to 3 months. Hence why we did the panic buy of Chris Wood. Oh, God. But it looks like we're getting closer to the stage where he returns. Now, is it something that he can be thrown straight back into in terms of, you know, the Premier League match? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on this. But there are definitely little smokes, you know, coming out of that fire saying that Awoniyi is back. Well, is on his way back. But is he as good as we all remember is the question I want to ask you guys. And again, it's something we discussed on the podcast. There's always been this thing, and I've done it myself, the injured player always looks better than the fit player. And I think back to a lot of your comments over the season and about Awoniyi and how I've said it myself. I called him Bambi on ice. He's, you know, money ball for me. He can't control a ball, but he can stick it in the back of the net. But is he as good as we remember? I don't know. I'll leave that question up to you guys. What I will say for sure, he's better than Chris Wood, and that's a given. He was also coming into some of his hottest form towards the period just after the World Cup and just before he got his injury, where I think he scored 2 goals in 4 games and was really starting to shine and put a bit of a streak together. But that's Awoniyi for you. The others, Niakate is still training, still non-contact. He's being bled in slowly, and as impatient and as frustrated as I have been with this injury, I guess when you get close to the finish line, you've just got to wait till he's fully ready and fully raring to go. There's been a lot of videos from Biancone showing himself jogging on treadmills, lifting weights on his leg, and he's looking like he's recovering really well. To be honest, he looks fitter than I've ever looked, even at my peak. And you do tend to wonder, how far away is he? But of course, he's not registered. So even if he was fit tomorrow, he wouldn't be able to play for Nottingham Forest. The other player that's definitely getting a lot closer to fitness is Ryan Yates. But I've just got a feeling on this Ryan Yates one. This is nothing to do with any sourcing or anything else. This is just me. I still think Yates is probably going to be out for another game or two, I think. I do feel that if he is fully match fit, Cooper will chuck him straight back in. He's one of those ones, a bit like MG Dub, where if they're fit, they go straight into the team with Cooper. But there's been no official update on where he is. Again, just more hints about him getting a lot closer. So, very interesting. And then the final one is Cheick Kouyaté, who seems to be getting closer to fitness and may be back sooner than we think, even though he's been out for about 300 years himself as well, obviously since sustaining the injury at the World Cup. So plenty of players potentially coming back. What do you guys think? I'll finish with this question. Who is the player you think we most miss from injury? Is it Yates? Is it Niakate? Is it Omar Richards? I don't know. Let me know down below which one it is for you. We'll finish the video there. If you haven't already, please don't forget to hit that like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. And if you want some more Forest content, go listen to the podcast. Please make sure you give it a 5-star review and, be it on Spotify, on Apple or Google, whatever you listen to, and give it a quick follow. The link is in the link tree and it's in the description as well. Thank you so much for watching, and come on you Reds.